Hi everyone, it's me, Linda B, and welcome back to my channel. All right, so today I am going to do another reaction video to Mr. Thomas Sowell. I'm sure a lot of you have knowledge of Mr. Sowell. He's been around a very long time. He is 93 years old, and he has a long list of accomplishments. He is an economist. He is a political commentator and a social philosopher. He's written books. Social Justice Fallacies is one of his books. Yes, so he is very accomplished, and I'm going to do a reaction to this video. He's talking about former President Barack Obama and how he felt about his presidency. But before we get started, I need you guys to go ahead and click that like button. Go ahead and share my videos, comment, and subscribe. I'm pretty much there at my 3,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for being so supportive. Got there quicker than I thought. Thank you so much. But I have another goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of this month. I know it's a big jump from 3 to 10,000, but I need you guys to help me out on that. Now let's go ahead and let's go.
He worked as a community organizer. I don't think most people stop and think, what does a community organizer do? He doesn't organize a community. Well, he's not telling people in the community how to shop better and stuff like that. He is mobilizing all the resentments, organizing them in order to put them into a battle to get what they want from other people.
Decline and Fall. From Dismantling America, quote, "The collapse of a civilization is not just the replacement of rulers or institutions with new rulers and new institutions. It is the destruction of a whole way of life and the painful and sometimes pathetic attempts of rebuilding amid the ruins. Is that where America is headed? I believe it is." Close quote. Now, whatever troubles we have, it's still the richest, most powerful nation in the world. We're still fundamentally at peace. Some soldiers in Iraq, some soldiers in Afghanistan, some in Germany, some in South Korea, but relatively small wars by historical standards in Afghanistan and Iraq. How can you say such a thing?
Well, you know, that description would also have fit the United States on December 6, 1941. So it's like the argument that was used when I used to question whether Social Security was fiscally sound. And I said, Social Security has never missed a payment. It's never been a day late or a dollar short. I said, that's always true right up to the moment of collapse.
Again, from Dismantling America. While the Obama administration is not the root cause of the ominous dangers that face this country at home and abroad, it is the embodiment, the personification, and the culmination of dangerous trends that began decades ago. How does the President of the United States embody dangerous trends? How do you see this man?
Oh my gosh. I see him as someone who all his life has been associated with and part of a group of people who fundamentally don't believe in the principles of this country. Not only people, the most obvious example, obviously, is Jeremiah Wright. People like Bill Ayers, whom he's tried to disavow. But people who fundamentally think that we're on the wrong track, we have the wrong principles, and we need to be changed, whether we want to be or not.
Tom, you mentioned Jeremiah Wright, his pastor at a church in Chicago. You mentioned Bill Ayers, who was a former member of
the Weather Underground.
The Weather Underground, exactly. What about his formation, his intellectual formation at Columbia, Harvard Law School?
Well, as he himself says, he always sought out the most radical people. He worked as a community organizer. I don't think most people stop and think, what does a community organizer do? He doesn't organize a community.
It's not bake sales. It's not bake sales he's organizing.
No, he's not telling people in the community how to shop better and stuff like that. He is mobilizing all the resentments, organizing them in order to put them into a battle to get what they want from other people.
Now, you talk about Barack Obama as embodying dangerous trends, quote, that began decades ago.
Oh, yes.
When? This is during your lifetime, during your adult lifetime?
Yes, and perhaps even a little earlier. But I think what you see in the most clearly, I think, in the academic world, are people who don't think that this country is a great country, One example of a colleague of mine who teaches at Harvard, after 9/11, put an American flag on his car. And his colleague said, "What is that for?" When I visited Berkeley in the aftermath of 9/11, when there were flags everywhere, I did not see one flag on the Berkeley campus on any of those expensive houses. When I was coming back from Berkeley, the first American flag I saw was in a low-income black neighborhood in Oakland. These are people who consider themselves citizens of the world, and that the rest of us are so lucky to have them here to change America, so that people like us don't have a voice. And of course, the whole way that Obama has operated with these enormous bills that no one has ever had time to read, that they rush through, where they're putting people in power who don't have to go through the confirmation process, so that we don't find out what they're like except if there's an expose on Fox News or someplace. I mean, his whole thing has been to circumvent the American public in order to put in things that they clearly don't want, as shown by the polls, as shown by this recent repudiation in Missouri.
All right, that's a question. Barack Obama won by about 7 percentage points. That's the biggest for a Democratic presidential candidate. Bill Clinton won by 8. FDR won by big. But he's in the top 3 Democratic finishers in the last 7 decades. Barack Obama is. So here's the question. You've described him, you've described the academic elites. To what extent the American people voted for him?
Yes.
To what extent do you see a corrosion of values among the American people themselves on the one hand? On the other hand, to what extent is there just a kind of creeping takeover by an elite that fails to share, that is opposed to the values that most Americans share?
There's both things. And I think part of the reason so many people voted for him was that what they got through the media was so filtered that they poo-pooed this man having been a member of a church run by a ranting racist because they wanted to believe that he was going to be a unifier. Community organizers don't unify. They divide, they polarize. That's how they get what they want. I never thought of Acorn as a unifying force in American life. And this man is not. But of course, if they don't know that, then of course they may vote for him.
So it's the press, it's Barack Obama and the administration, it's the elites at academic institutions.
But it's not just a thing that happened now. Long before Barack Obama's name became known, there was this attitude, essentially repudiating the principles of the country. I mean, it started, I think, with Woodrow Wilson, who was the first president of the United States to openly say that the Constitution, needed to be superseded. And he didn't mean that there needed to be amendments to the Constitution, which anybody can be for, but that the courts should do this. In other words, to circumvent the public, the voting public, and put in the things that the judges think ought to be put in, irrespective of what the Constitution says.
How did we go in the space of a couple of decades, maybe 3, but I think probably closer to 2, from an America in which the notion of same-sex marriage was literally unthinkable. That is to say, it was in nobody's head, so outlandish that it never occurred to anyone, to a sitting judge, federal judge, named to the federal bench, by the way, by George H.W. Bush,
Heaven help us.
coming out with an opinion like this. What happened to the legal regime, to the social to the mores?
This is why I say that Obama is really the culmination of a trend. He didn't do this by himself. That there was a notion out there, a set of notions really, about the country, about what was right, and about who should make what decisions. Those notions were out there, before he ever became a public figure. But now that and I think what you saw was an erosion of the confidence in the country and the country's culture, its principles, and so forth. And all of this happened. And what is happening now is what was just an erosion, sort of almost uncoordinated and so on, to a deliberate attempt on his part to change the country in fundamental
Well,
ways.
there you have it from Mr. Thomas Sowell. He is a man of great knowledge. He's lived a very long life. Like I said, he's 93 years old. He's written multiple books. And as I mentioned earlier, a social philosopher, an economist, and a political commentator, and he's seen a lot and he's done a lot of research. He is a walking wealth of knowledge, and he looks pretty spry to be in his 90s. He said something very interesting to me, was that Barack Obama started off as a community organizer, and community organizers don't unify, they divide. And that's what they do by their very nature, and they do that in order to get what they want. I did not vote for Barack Obama either time. I was one of the 2% of African Americans that did not vote for him. As soon as I saw his face, I was like, no, 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 this is something is not right here. I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say it. I probably have some Barack Obama supporters that are going to comment, but just the way he is, I mean, just that gut feeling, like you really feel like God is telling you no on this particular person. He did go to Jeremiah Wright's church, and Jeremiah Wright spouted the most horrible anti-Semitic racist things, and Barack Obama sat in that church for 20 years. Barack Obama did, as Thomas Sowell said, has connections with some very radical people, and under his presidency, same-sex marriage became legal across the country. And I'll never forget that date. It was June 25th, 2015. And I felt like then this nation is under judgment. So many things that go against our morals. Like Thomas Sowell said, it's not something that happened immediately. Our nation's morality was on a downward spiral. And it has been for some decades before Barack Obama was even born. But because of that, then people clung to what he was saying, hope and change. And, he had this machine behind him. So, and you heard what Thomas Sowell said. So everything about him is fundamentally talking about Barack Obama. Everything about Barack Obama is fundamentally against what our country was ever even founded on. Our Christian values, our, whatever everything was built on, he was against. You guys may know about a little sound bite, and I might put that up in another video or might link it at the end of this description. But Michelle and Barack Obama were at a ceremony, and there was the flag, the American flag, and you could see Michelle Obama say something about them being crazy about that DAMN flag. And I was like, wow. So I also feel like this is Barack Obama's third term. Joe Biden had one of those Freudian slips again where he said, I don't know, I got to talk to Obama about it. What do you mean you got to talk to Obama about it? So, well, I know what you mean, but, rhetorical question. But, you guys let me know in the comment section what you think about Mr. Thomas Sowell. He has multiple videos out on YouTube. You guys should check him out. Very knowledgeable. He's been around, like I said, a very long time, and he knows his stuff. He was a former Democrat and then went independent. He's not really, or maybe libertarian, but he doesn't say he's a Republican. When he was asked about, do you think Donald Trump is a racist? He said he doesn't know enough about the man to know whether or not he's a racist. So I don't see him as a Donald Trump supporter, but he is definitely against things on the left. He's against this cultural Marxism and socialism that's rising up, and it's not good for the country. It's very controlling, and we have to vote and we have to make our voices be heard. I voted today in the Georgia primary, Republican primary. Got my little peach sticker. And I noticed that Donald Trump won Georgia 84%, over 84%. So yay. And probably the other states too. I haven't checked on the other states. I just checked on my state. But you guys, I'm going to end this video. Hope you guys have a blessed day. You guys, and remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. And as they always say, march on, warriors.